So we pulled our first batch of pickling cucumbers this weekend. I kept them in the refrigerator wrapped for a day so that they would stay as cold as possible, because you want to pickle them as soon as you can. They don't stay crisp, as you probably know if you've pickled even dill pickles or sweet. So the best thing you can do without adding a chemical is to keep them as cold and crisp as possible, and then can them immediately. Don't get them warm. Don't let them be warm in between the time that you're canning and cutting the cucumber to prepare to make the pickles. So you should have onion, which I don't have today. I did not go by the store and pick it up, but I wanted to get the video done for everyone who sent me questions about pickling. This is done many different ways. You can find a lot of different recipes online. My recipe is 1 cup of sugar per 1 cup of apple cider vinegar in the bath. So this is what you're going to do, is you're going to cook it down. It gets almost like a syrup, right? So 1 cup to 1 cup. I like super sweet pickles. I am from the South. Some of you add water, I'm sure, to dole down the sweetness and the tartness, but I like them sweet and tart. Another thing that I do to make it easy is I buy pickling spice, organic pickling spice from Natural Grocers. You can probably order it online. That way I don't have to put a teaspoon of this, a teaspoon of that into the mix. I can just put my half a teaspoon per bottle. And since I'm using larger bottles today, I'm actually going to put a full teaspoon, so I'm going to go grab that. Actually, I'll do 3/4 of a teaspoon, because let me show you the jar size I'm using. I'm using this unusual size. Usually I'll use the small canning jar. When you do that, half a teaspoon is perfect for pickling. So this one I'm actually going to do I'll probably do like 1.5 of these actually. Okay, so pickling spice is also a preference. You can use however much of it or however little of it that you want. You do want to try to use onion. It makes them much better. But again, today I won't be using onion. So what I have today is the pickling spice. You'll want to have onion, apple cider vinegar, sugar, 1 cup to 1 cup to make your syrup. Your glasses need to be sitting in hot water or boiling water, which is hard to deal with when you pick up a glass. So I would just say hot water. I have a sink full of hot water. You should have these heated up, but by the time you pull them out of the water to put them on the can, they cool off. So you don't necessarily have to have these hot, but I would, by recommendation, get them in hot water so there's no bacteria involved. You want to make sure it's clean and free of any bacteria before you can. Now these pickles, what I did was I salted and put them on ice for 2 hours. Mixed them up. That's a typical thing to do before you can. So ice and salt, and then I rinse them thoroughly so there's no salt on them and the ice is off of them, but they're really chilled and they're hard. They're crispy, which is what you want to do. So let me put this back. I'm going to grab a hot one. So you're going to take your warm jar from the water. You're going to pack pickles into the jar. These are cut different sizes. I've got a lot of big chunks in this one. Okay. Typically you want to add your spice at the bottom of the jar, but you can do it from the top also. This is a cool little tool to have. You can use this, or you can just straight pour if you're a pretty good pourer with a cup. So I'm just going to show by example with this tool what that looks like. So you put that on. It's adjustable, so it can go to a wide lid or a small lid. We're going to stir this, make sure the syrup is evenly melted. Stick our jar in. Pour it over the pickle juice. You want to make sure to leave at least the rim open, okay? You don't want to fill it full, because then it could potentially not seal. Another thing you want to do is take a knife or a stick of some sort and get your air bubbles out. All right, you want to make sure there's no air bubbles in. Now this is not full enough because you want your pickles covered. So I'm going to add a little more juice, put my topper back on. There we go, okay. Push it again. All right. Now, with anything that has sugar in it, you want to make sure to get a wet cloth and a dry cloth, because you want to run the wet cloth over the top of the jar, and then you want to wipe it dry. If there's any stickiness on the jar, it won't seal. Put your cap on, Put your lid on. And then you're going to put it in your pressure cooker. Now I've had the pressure cooker heating up already for about 10 minutes at medium. I've got that much water, like 1.5 inches of water in the bottom of it. Right, so it's semi-warm already, so the minute I put that jar in there, it's going to stay warm for me until I have the whole thing filled, and then I can shut the lid, okay? Another jar. Let's put the spice in first, okay? You'll put your pickles and onions. If you had sliced onions, you would want to put your onion in at this time too. Now these are really chilled. When I pick them up, they're super cold. I know that seems backwards based on the fact you want everything warm. Okay, cap on. Syrup in. Don't forget to get your air bubbles out. A lot of big chunks in there. Moist cloth, wipe down your top, dry your top, cap, lid. Now you're going to get bored watching me do the rest of these, so I just wanted to show how they're done. When you put your lid on, pressure cooker, the lid pops on and slides. When you put your lid on, you're going to see the top measurement of pressure here. So what you want to do is put it on medium-high and let it get up to 10. Okay, keep it at 10, which means you're going to have to turn the temperature of the stove down to keep it at 10. Keep it at 10 for like 7 minutes. You don't want to get too high on these pickles because they get soggy, and you don't want that. So pressure 10 for 7 minutes, and then you're going to take the pressure cap off, let all the air come out of it, take the lid off, and your pickles are sealed and done. So I will take a picture of what that looks like at the end. I'll finish these up, and then we'll be ready to let them sit. Now, sweet pickles, because you're trying to get them kind of full of the sweet and vinegar, it takes probably 4 or more months for them to taste the best. You can put them in the refrigerator now and eat them, but it's not the same. They're not going to be that thick, sweet, spicy flavor. They need to kind of marinate in what you've done. Same with pickled beets. I'm going to do the pickled beets here probably Wednesday or Friday. They need to sit for 2 reasons. Pickled beets need to get soft because beets are really hard, and they also need the pickling. You're going to use the same pickling, okay, and the same component of vinegar and sugar, but you're going to use white vinegar. But they need to marinate to soften and get the flavor inside of the beet. But we'll go over that. I think it'll be Friday. So if you have any questions about pickling cucumbers, let me know. These are available now, but the hard thing about pickles is that you cannot, unless you have tons and tons and tons of plants, you cannot pick them all the same size at one time. You'll end up with just the perfect size that you want, which is this size pickle. You'll end up with like 5 or 6 of them, and the rest of them are bigger, or the rest of them are too little. So you end up having to have a mix of them, and that's kind of how we sell them. We sell them different sizes at a time. You won't get perfect sizes every time. But they will be available from now until probably mid-September. Beginning of September is usually when the plants go down. And they'll be available as long as they're available. If someone calls and wants 5 pounds of pickles, they may be gone on Friday, and you may not have access to them that weekend. So we do apologize for that. But let us know if you're interested in pickling, and we'll keep you in mind and hold them for you on a weekend that you want to pick them up.